Dr. Lisa Morgan stood in front of the biggest meeting room she had ever seen. The walls were made of clear glass that showed the stars outside. Ships from different worlds floated past the windows like giant metal fish. She held her datapad tight in her hands. Today she would tell the interspecies research council something that would change everything. The council members sat in a big circle around her. Each alien looked different from the others. Some had fur, some had scales, and some looked like they were made of rocks. But they all had one thing in common. They thought humans were weak and small. Lisa cleared her throat and began to speak. 3 years ago, I started studying something strange. On 17 different worlds, the biggest and most dangerous predators are doing something that should be impossible. They are giving their babies to humans to watch. A loud growl came from the left side of the room. The Zelkan ambassador stood up. He was 8 feet tall and looked like a huge tiger with saber teeth. His yellow eyes glared at Lisa. This is silly talk. Humans are just easy food, nothing more. Lisa did not move back. She had seen this reaction before. Ambassador, I have proof, real proof. I have videos, sound recordings, and medical scans. The Vrex representative clicked her sharp claws on the table. She looked like a giant bug with arms like razors. Even if this is true, humans are just babysitters. The predators use them because they are too weak to fight back. That is not what I found, Lisa said. She pressed a button on her datapad. A big screen appeared above the table. It showed a green world with 2 suns. This is Kepler 442b, humans. Have lived there for 5 years? Watch what happens. The screen showed a small farm with white buildings. A man in blue work clothes was feeding animals in a yard. He had brown hair and kind eyes. The name tag on his shirt said, Jake Peterson, Farm Manager. Jake Peterson is a simple man, Lisa said. He fixes machines and grows food. He has no special training with animals, but watch what happens next. On the screen, something moved in the tall grass near the farm. 3 huge creatures came out of the shadows. They looked like bears, but twice as big. Long bone spikes stuck out from their backs and shoulders. Their teeth were as long as kitchen knives. The council members moved back in their chairs. These were thornback prowlers, some of the most dangerous hunters in the galaxy. They could tear through metal with their claws, but something amazing happened. The big predators walked slowly toward Jake. They were not hunting, they were carrying something in their mouths. Baby thornback prowlers, small and fuzzy, making soft crying sounds. Jake saw them coming. He did not run. He did not grab a weapon. Instead, he smiled and walked toward the giant predators. Hello there, friends. Are these the new babies? The biggest thornback prowler, a female with scars on her face, gently put her baby down near Jake's feet. The other 2 did the same. Then something even more strange happened. The mother prowler pushed her baby closer to Jake with her nose. She was asking him to take care of it. Jake picked up the baby prowler. It was as big as a human baby but had tiny spikes on its back. The baby made happy sounds and tried to grab Jake's finger with its small claws. The mother prowler watched, but did not attack. Instead, she seemed pleased. I have seen this same thing happen on 16 other worlds, Lisa told the council. Different predator species, different humans, but always the same result. The predators trust humans with their most precious possessions. The council was quiet. They watched as Jake carried the baby prowlers to a special building. Inside were cribs and beds made for different types of alien babies. Human children played with predator cubs like they were pets. Dr. Ben Harris, Lisa's research partner, stood up. He was a thin man with thick glasses who studied brains. I have been scanning the brains of these predators. When they are near humans, something changes. The part of their brain that controls fear and anger becomes calm, but only when their babies are involved. He showed new images on the screen. These were brain scans in different colors. Red means angry and afraid. Blue means calm and happy. Look at this thornback prowler when she is hunting. The brain scan was bright red. Now look at the same predator when she brings her baby to Jake. The scan turned blue. This should not be possible, the Vrex representative said. Her voice sounded worried now. Predators do not trust other species with their young. It goes against every rule of nature, Lisa nodded. That is exactly what I thought. But the facts do not lie. These predators are making a choice. They are choosing to trust humans. The Zelkan ambassador growled low in his throat. You are saying humans have some kind of power over us? No, Lisa said quickly. I'm saying that humans trigger something in predators that makes them feel safe about their babies. But only about their babies. The predators still hunt and kill other creatures. They still fight and defend their territory. But when it comes to their young, they see humans as protectors. More images appeared on the screen. Different worlds, different predators, but always the same story. On the desert world of Zarian, the snake-like sand vipers brought their eggs to human settlements. On the ice world of Tundra Prime, the giant frost bears carried their cubs to human research stations. I have documented 47 different predator species doing this, Lisa said. Some of them are natural enemies of each other, but they all trust humans the same way. The council members looked at each other. They were starting to understand that this was bigger than they thought. What do you think causes this? Asked the hegemony representative, a creature that looked like a walking tree. I do not know yet, Lisa admitted, but I think the answer is on Kepler 442b. The predators there are not just dropping off their babies. They are staying close to the human settlement. They are protecting it. The screen showed aerial views of Jake's farm. Around the human buildings, in the tall grass and behind the rocks, dozens of adult predators waited and watched. They were not hunting the humans, they were guarding them. The predators have formed a circle around the human settlement, Lisa explained. Nothing dangerous gets close to the humans or their babies. It is like they have made a deal. Humans protect the predator babies and predators protect the humans. The Zelkan ambassador sat down heavily. His voice was quiet now. If this is true, then everything we know about predator behavior is wrong. Not wrong, Lisa said, just incomplete. We have been studying predators as individuals. But what if they are capable of something we never imagined? What if they can form alliances? The room was silent except for the hum of the space station's engines. Outside the windows, ships continued to move between the stars. But inside the meeting room, the representatives of dozens of species were trying to understand something that changed everything they thought they knew about the galaxy. I request permission to return to Kepler 442b, Lisa said. I want to study this phenomenon more closely. I believe the predators are trying to tell us something important, the council voted. They would send a full research team to Kepler 442b. They would bring scientists from every major species. They would find out once and for all what made humans so special to predators, but as Lisa packed her things to leave, she had a feeling that the answer would be bigger than anyone expected. The predators were not just trusting humans with their babies. They were trusting humans with the future of their species. And somewhere in the back of her mind, Lisa wondered if humans even knew what they were really doing. Commander Kate Sullivan looked out the window of the research ship Endeavour as it moved toward Kepler 442b. The planet looked peaceful from space, with blue oceans and green lands. But Kate knew that down there something was happening that could change how all the species in the galaxy understood each other. She walked through the ship's hallways, checking on her team. The Endeavour carried scientists from 12 different worlds. Some believed that humans had found a way to control predators. Others thought the whole thing was fake. Kate did not know what to believe, but she was going to find out. Dr. Angela Price was in the biology lab, looking at pictures of the predators they would study. Angela was a small woman with red hair who had spent her whole life studying dangerous animals. She had never seen anything like what the reports described. "Commander," Angela said when Kate walked in, "I have been reading Dr. Morgan's files. This should not be possible. Predators do not trust anyone with their young, not even their own mates sometimes." Kate nodded. "That is why we are here, to see if it is real." In another part of the ship, the military observers were having their own meeting. Colonel Rick Barnes believed that humans were using some kind of technology to control predator minds. No species just gives away their babies, he told his officers. The humans are doing something and we need to find out what. The Endeavor landed at the human settlement of New Haven 2 days later. Kate was surprised by how small it was. Only 847 humans lived there, in simple buildings made of local stone and metal. It looked like any other frontier town, but as they walked through the settlement, Kate saw something that made her stop. In the town square, human children were playing with creatures that should have killed them. Baby thornback prowlers rolled in the dirt with human kids. Young sand vipers, their poison fangs not yet grown, curled around the arms of human teenagers like pets. Mayor Sam Tucker met them at the landing pad. He was a big man with gray hair and hands that showed years of hard work. He had built houses on 3 different worlds before coming to Kepler 442b. "Welcome to New Haven," Sam said with a smile. "Dr. Morgan told us you were coming. We are happy to show you around." Kate introduced her team. When Colonel Barnes stepped forward, some of the predator cubs near the landing pad made warning sounds. The adult predators, which had been watching from a distance, moved closer. Their eyes were fixed on the colonel's weapons. "Maybe you should leave the guns on the ship," Sam suggested. "The predators do not like them. We need our weapons for protection," Barnes said. Sam laughed. "Protection from what? You are probably safer here than anywhere else in the galaxy. The predators will not let anything hurt you while you are in our settlement." To prove his point, Sam walked over to where a huge female thornback prowler was lying in the shade. She was 12 feet long and had claws that could cut through steel. Sam sat down next to her and scratched behind her ears like she was a giant dog. "This is Scar," Sam said. "She is the pack leader. She has been bringing her babies here for 3 years. The predator made a sound that was almost like a cat purring. Her baby, about the size of a human child, ran over and climbed onto Sam's lap. The little prowler had tiny spikes on its back, but Sam did not seem worried about them. Angela took out her scanner and pointed it at Scar. The readings made her eyes go wide. "Commander, this predator is completely calm. Her stress levels are lower than a house cat." "That is normal here," said a voice behind them. They turned to see Jake Peterson walking toward them. He was carrying a baby sand viper in his arms. The young predator was sleeping peacefully. "Jake Peterson," Kate said. "Dr. Morgan told us about you. You are the one who takes care of most of the predator babies." Jake nodded. "I guess so. But really, they take care of themselves. I just make sure they have food and a safe place to sleep." "Are you not afraid?" Angela asked. Jake looked confused. "Afraid of what? These are babies. They need help, just like any baby would." Colonel Barnes stepped forward. "What technology are you using to control these predators?" Jake laughed. "Technology? I do not even know how to fix the coffee machine. I just treat the babies like they matter." Kate spent the next few days watching the settlement. What she saw changed everything she thought she knew about predators. The adult predators did not just drop off their babies and leave. They stayed close to the human settlement, forming a protective circle around it. When a group of wild razorhawks flew overhead, looking for easy prey, the predators worked together to chase them away. Thornback prowlers, sand vipers, and frost bears, natural enemies, fought side by side to protect the human settlement. "They are not just protecting their own babies," Kate told her team. "They are protecting all the babies and the humans too." Dr. Price made another discovery. She found that the predators were bringing more than just their babies. They were bringing food, rare metals, and even things that looked like gifts. The humans did not ask for these things, but the predators brought them anyway. "It is like they are trying to trade with us," Price said. "But they are not asking for anything in return except care for their young." The most amazing thing happened on the 4th day. A rival research team from the hegemony arrived without warning. They brought soldiers and equipment to capture some of the predator babies for study. They said they needed to understand why. The predators trusted humans, but when the hegemony ships landed, something incredible happened. Every adult predator in the area moved to surround the human settlement. They did not attack the new arrivals, but they made it clear that they would fight if anyone tried to take their babies. The hegemony commander, General Voss, was a tall alien with 4 arms and gray skin. He looked at the wall of predators around the settlement and laughed. "We have weapons that can kill all of these animals. Move them out of the way." Sam Tucker walked out to meet the general. Behind him came Jake Peterson and a dozen other humans. But they were not alone. Scar and the other pack leaders walked with them. "General," Sam said calmly, "you are welcome here if you come in peace. But if you try to hurt any of the babies, you will have to go through all of us." General Voss raised his weapon. "These predators belong to the galaxy, not to humans. We will take what we need." That was when Kate saw something that would stay with her forever. The predators did not attack the hegemony soldiers. Instead, they moved to protect the humans. Scar stepped in front of Sam. A massive frost bear moved to shield Jake. Sand vipers coiled around the legs of the human children, ready to strike anyone who threatened them. "You see," Sam said to the general, "they are not protecting their babies from us. They are protecting us from you." The standoff lasted 3 hours. The hegemony soldiers had better weapons, but the predators had something stronger. They had a reason to fight that went beyond hunger or territory. They were protecting their partners. Finally, General Voss backed down. He could not risk starting a war with every predator species in the galaxy. But as his ships left, he sent a message to the hegemony capital. He told them that humans were more dangerous than they had thought. That night, Kate sat with Sam and Jake around a fire in the town square. Baby predators slept in cribs nearby while their parents watched from the shadows. "How did this start?" Kate asked. Sam thought for a moment. "I do not really know. When we first arrived, the predators watched us from a distance. Then one day, a female thornback prowler was hurt. She had been fighting with males over territory. Jake found her and helped heal her wounds." Jake nodded. "She was bleeding and could not walk. I could not just leave her to die. So I brought her food and water until she was strong again." 2 weeks later, she came back, Sam continued. She brought her babies. She just left them near Jake and walked away. "We did not know what to do, so I took care of them," Jake said simply. "What else could I do? They were hungry and scared." Kate realized that the humans had not set out to create this relationship. It had happened naturally because humans could not stand to see babies in need, even if those babies belonged to dangerous predators. "The predators figured out that we would protect their young," Jake said, "and somehow they decided to protect us back." Angela came over with her scanner. "Commander, I have been studying the brain patterns of both humans and predators. Something interesting is happening. When humans are around predator babies, their brains release chemicals that make them want to protect and care for the young. But when predators are around humans who are caring for their babies, their brains release different chemicals that make them want to protect the humans. It is like both species are programmed to work together," Kate said. "Maybe we are," Sam sighed quietly. "Maybe this is how it was always supposed to be." As Kate prepared to leave New Haven, she knew that her report would change everything. The predators had not just found babysitters, they had found partners. And the humans had found protectors who would fight to the death to keep them safe. The question was, what would the galaxy do with this information? Dr. Ryan Cooper had been digging in the dirt of Kepler 442b for 6 weeks. He was an archaeologist who loved old things and forgotten places. His team had found ruins buried under the hills near New Haven, and what they discovered there would change everything the galaxy knew about humans and predators. The ruins were old. Very old. Ryan's tests showed they were built over 50,000 years ago, long before humans ever left Earth, but the strangest thing was the pictures carved into the stone walls. The carvings showed creatures that looked almost exactly like humans. They had 2 arms, 2 legs, and faces that could have been human faces, but these creatures were surrounded by predators, not fighting them, but living with them. "Professor Wu," Ryan called to his partner. Come look at this. Professor Helen Wu was a language expert who could read the old writing of dozens of different species. She had gray hair and kind eyes, and she was the smartest person Ryan had ever met. When she saw the new carvings, she sat down hard on a rock. "This cannot be right," she said softly. The carvings showed the human-like creatures taking care of baby predators. The pictures were so detailed that Ryan could see the expressions on their faces. They looked happy. They looked like they were doing something they loved. "What do the words say?" Ryan asked. Helen ran her fingers over the carved symbols. "This is written in Old Galactic, the language that most species used before they developed their own writing, but these symbols are different, older." She worked for hours, comparing the symbols to everything she knew. Finally, she found a match. "Ryan, these words. They call the human-like creatures the guardians who remember." "Remember what?" "I'm not sure yet, but look at this part." Helen pointed to a section of the wall that was covered in symbols. "This talks about a great crisis, something that threatened all life on many worlds. The guardians helped save the young of different species." Ryan and Helen worked together to uncover more of the ruins. What they found was amazing. The structure was not just a building. It was a huge complex with many rooms. Some rooms had sleeping areas sized for different types of creatures. Others had storage areas for different types of food. It was like a giant nursery for many different species. Captain Alex Rivera arrived with more help 2 weeks later. He was a military officer who had fought in the border wars, but he had never seen anything like what the archaeologists had found. "These ruins are on 12 other worlds," Alex told them. "My scouts have found the same types of buildings on every world where predators trust humans with their babies." Helen had been working day and night to translate more of the writings. What she found made her hands shake. The guardians were not just helping individual predators. They were helping entire species survive. The writings told a story that was hard to believe. Long ago, the galaxy had faced a terrible disaster. Climate change and resource wars had put many species in danger of dying out. The predators were hit the hardest because they needed so much food and space. The Guardians made a deal, Helen explained to the team. They would protect and care for predator young during the crisis. In return, the predators would protect the Guardian settlements. But why would they do that? Alex asked. What did the Guardians get out of it? Helen pointed to another section of the wall. The predators were not just protecting the Guardians. They were protecting the future. Look at this. The carvings showed Guardian settlements that were surrounded by predators. But the settlements were not just places where the Guardians lived. They were centers of learning and culture. The Guardians, or teachers, healers, and builders. They helped other species learn new ways to survive. The predators realized that the Guardians were important for everyone's survival, Helen said. So they made sure nothing happened to them. Dr. Nicole Foster arrived from Earth with news that made everyone's head spin. She was a genetic scientist who studied how different species developed over time. Her ship landed just as Ryan's team found the most important room in the ruins. "Dr. Cooper," Nicole said as she joined them in the central chamber, "I have studied the genetic patterns of humans who work best with predators. There is something in their DNA that is not completely human." The central chamber was amazing. It was a round room with a high ceiling, and in the center was a crystal device that still glowed with soft light. When Ryan touched it, the room filled with moving pictures made of light. The pictures showed the world as it was 50,000 years ago. It was a beautiful place with green forests and blue rivers. But then the pictures changed. The world became dry and brown. Animals fought over the last bits of food and water. Many species were dying. Then the Guardians appeared. They looked exactly like humans, but they were not afraid of the predators. They walked right up to the biggest and most dangerous creatures and offered to help. They showed the predators how to share resources and work together. "This is incredible," Nicole breathed. The Guardians were not just helping the predators, they were teaching them. The light pictures showed Guardian settlements that were like schools. Young predators learned alongside Guardian children. They played together, ate together, and grew up together. The predators learned that not all other species were enemies. Dr. Foster, Ryan said, you said human DNA is not completely human. What did you mean? Nicole opened her datapad and showed them genetic charts. Humans have genetic markers that suggest they bred with another species about 200,000 years ago. The genetic pattern matches samples I took from these ruins. Helen looked up from her translation work. The writings say that some guardians left this world when the crisis ended. They traveled to other worlds to help more species. Some of them went to a world with one moon and blue skies. Earth, Alex said quietly. The guardians who went to Earth mixed with the early humans who were already there, Nicole explained. Over thousands of years, their children spread across the planet. Most humans today carry some guardian genetics, but some have more than others. Ryan realized what this meant. The humans who work best with predators are the ones who have the most guardian genes. Exactly. Jake Peterson, Maria Santos, Sam Tucker, they all have high levels of guardian genetic markers. That is why the predators trust them. The team spent more days studying the ruins and the genetic information. What they learned was both wonderful and scary. Humans were not just another species that had learned to work with predators. They were the children of an ancient race that had been created to protect the young of other species. But the most important discovery came when Helen finished translating the last section of the chamber walls. Her face went pale as she read the final words. What is it? Ryan asked. The Guardians did not just help predators during one crisis, Helen said. They prepared for the next one. The writings say that the galaxy would face another great danger, and when it came, the Guardians would be needed again. What kind of danger? Helen looked at the others. A species that would try to conquer all other species. A species that would see predators and Guardians as threats to be eliminated. Alex felt cold, the hegemony. They are already trying to control the predators and use humans as slaves. Nicole nodded. The Guardian genes are not just about taking care of babies, they are about bringing species together. The ancient Guardians knew that cooperation was the only way to survive. The crystal device pulsed brighter, and new pictures appeared. These showed the future Guardian settlements protected by predators working together to face a great enemy. The pictures showed battles in space, with predator ships fighting alongside Guardian vessels. The ancient Guardians left us a message, Helen said. They knew this day would come. They prepared for it. Ryan looked around the chamber at the walls covered in ancient wisdom. We need to tell everyone. The humans working with predators is not just a nice story. It is the galaxy's best hope for survival. As they prepared to leave the ruins, Alex received a message from his commanders. The hegemony was gathering a large fleet. They planned to take control of all the worlds where humans and predators work together. The crisis the Guardians predicted is starting, Alex said. The question is, are we ready? Nicole looked at her genetic data. There are millions of humans with Guardian genes. Most of them do not even know what they are capable of. Then we need to tell them, Ryan said. And we need to tell the predators too. They have been waiting 50,000 years for their Guardians to return. Helen carefully packed the translation of the Guardian writings. The ancient Guardians faced a crisis that threatened all life in the galaxy. They found a way to bring enemies together and save everyone. Can we do the same? Alex asked. Ryan looked at the crystal device one last time. The light pictures showed Guardian children playing with predator cubs, working together, learning from each other. We have to try. The future of the galaxy depends on it. As they left the ruins, predators watched them from the hills around. New Haven, the ancient compact, was awakening. The Guardians had returned, and their protectors were ready to fight for them once again. The galaxy was about to learn that some bonds are stronger than time itself. The news spread across the galaxy like fire in dry grass. Humans were not just another species that had learned to work with predators. They were the children of an ancient race that had once saved the galaxy from destruction. Dr. Nicole Foster stood in her lab on Earth, looking at genetic test results that changed everything. Her screen showed the DNA patterns of humans from all over the galaxy. Some had only small amounts of Guardian genes. Others had so much that they were almost more Guardian than human. The distribution is not random, she told her research team. The humans who work best with predators all have high levels of Guardian genetic markers. It is like they were born for this job. On Kepler 442b, Jake Peterson was learning that he was special in ways he never imagined. His genetic test showed that he had more Guardian genes than anyone else they had tested. That explained why predators trusted him so quickly. "I do not feel different," he told Dr. Foster during a video call. "I just see babies that need help." "That is exactly what makes you different," Nicole replied. "Most species, even humans, have to learn to care for young that are not their own. For you, it is natural." The discovery brought both hope and fear to the galaxy. The Galactic Council met in emergency session to discuss what to do with this information. Some species wanted to protect humans and help them fulfill their ancient purpose. Others saw humans as a threat that needed to be controlled. The hegemony took the worst position of all. Chancellor Vex, their leader, was a cold creature that looked like a walking suit of armor. He had ruled the hegemony for 30 years by conquering other species and making them serve his empire. "The humans are too dangerous to be allowed freedom," he declared to his war council. "If they can control predators, they can control any species. We must capture them and use their abilities for the empire." Within days, hegemony fleets began moving toward human colonies. They claimed they were offering protection, but their real plan was to take humans with high Guardian genes and force them to work as controllers for captured predators. Captain Alex Rivera was on New Haven when the first hegemony ships appeared in the sky. He had been expecting this day since they found the ruins. The ancient Guardians had faced the same kind of threat. "All humans to the shelters," he ordered over the settlement's communication system. "This is not a drill." But as the people of New Haven ran for safety, something amazing happened. The predators did not run with them. Instead, they moved to form a protective circle around the human settlement. Thornback prowlers, sand vipers, frost bears, and dozens of other species took positions around the town. Scar, the pack leader, stood directly in front of the town hall. Her cubs were inside with the human children, and she would die before she let anyone hurt them. Jake Peterson refused to hide in the shelters. "These predators are protecting us," he told Alex. "I cannot hide while they fight for our children." The hegemony ships landed in the fields around New Haven. General Voss, the same commander who had backed down before, stepped out with 1,000 soldiers. This time, he was not planning to negotiate. "Surrender the humans with Guardian genes," he announced through loudspeakers. "We will not harm them. They will be given important work serving the Empire." Sam Tucker, still the mayor of New Haven, walked out to meet the general. Behind him came Jake Peterson and a dozen other humans. But they were not alone. The predators walked with them, not as pets or servants, but as partners. "General," Sam said calmly, "these people are not going anywhere. This is their home." "They belong to the galaxy," Voss replied. "Their abilities are too important to waste on babysitting animals." That was when the predators showed the galaxy something it had never seen before. On 17 different worlds, apex predator species that had never worked together began to cooperate. The thornback prowlers shared hunting grounds with the sand vipers. The frost bears allowed the shadow hunters to pass through their territory. More importantly, they began to communicate. Dr. Angela Price, who was still studying the predators on New Haven, discovered that the different species were using sounds and gestures to share information. "They are coordinating," she told Alex in amazement. "The predators on different worlds are talking to each other." The coordination was not just about sharing information. The predators were sharing resources too. On the ice world of Tundra Prime, the frost bears began making crude tools from metal and stone. On the desert world of Zarian, the sand vipers worked together to build shelters that could protect them from orbital attacks. "They are preparing for war," Alex realized. "The predators know that if the hegemony takes the humans, their young will not be safe." The most amazing discovery came from Dr. Ryan Cooper, who was still studying the ancient ruins. He found new chambers that showed how the original Guardians had faced their crisis. The answer was not just cooperation between Guardians and Predators. It was cooperation between all species. The ancient Guardians brought everyone together, he told the Emergency Council meeting. They showed predators and prey species that they could work together when facing a common threat. But the galaxy was not ready for that kind of cooperation. When the hegemony attacked the first human colony, the response was swift and terrible. The predators did not just defend their Guardian partners. They went on the offensive on the mining world of Kepler 452c. A hegemony fleet tried to capture the human settlement. The humans there had been caring for the young of the local razor cats, predators that could move faster than the eye could. When the hegemony soldiers landed, they found themselves facing not just the razor cats, but also rock crawlers, spine hunters, and other predators that had traveled from distant territories. The battle was short and brutal. The hegemony soldiers had better weapons, but the predators had the advantage of working together. More importantly, they were fighting for something that mattered more than their own lives. They are not just fighting for their babies, reported the surviving hegemony commander. They are fighting for the humans who protect their babies. The news of the Predator Alliance spread across the galaxy. Species that had never imagined working together began to see new possibilities. If predators could cooperate with humans, maybe prey species could cooperate with predators. Dr. Foster made another discovery that changed everything. She found that humans with Guardian genes did not just affect predators. They affected all species. When Guardian gene humans were present, different species were more likely to work together instead of fighting. The Guardian genes do not just make humans good at caring for young, she explained to the Galactic Council. They make humans good at bringing species together. It is like they produce chemicals that help other species trust each other. The proof came from an unexpected place. On the trade world of Nexus Station, a human diplomat named Carol White was trying to help two species settle a border dispute. The Keth were bird-like creatures that lived in the mountains. The Norvek were underground dwellers that looked like large moles. The two species had been fighting for 50 years over mining rights. But when Carol brought representatives from both sides together, something changed. Within hours they were working out a deal that gave both sides what they needed. I did not do anything special, Carol told the investigators. I just helped them see that they wanted the same things. Dr. Foster tested Carol's DNA. She had high levels of Guardian genes, just like Jake Peterson and the other humans who worked with predators. The ancient Guardians were not just predator babysitters, Nicole realized. They were peacekeepers. They helped different species find ways to live together. This discovery made the hegemony even more determined to capture humans with Guardian genes. If humans could make natural enemies cooperate, they could be used to control entire sectors of the galaxy. Chancellor Vex called for a full military mobilization. The humans are not just babysitters or diplomats, he told his war council. They are weapons. Weapons that could destroy our empire by making our conquered species work together against us. The hegemony fleet was the largest ever assembled. Over 10,000 ships from across their empire, carrying millions of soldiers and enough firepower to destroy entire worlds. Their target was simple: capture every human with Guardian genes and eliminate the rest. But the galaxy had changed. The Predator Alliance was no longer just about protecting their young. It had become about protecting their partners. And their partners were not just humans anymore. On the farming world of Series 7, the local grass runners were prey animals that looked like giant rabbits. They had always been hunted by the predators on their world. But when the hegemony attacked, something amazing happened. The human settlers on Series 7 had been caring for the young of both predators and prey species. The Guardian gene humans had helped the grass runners and their predators find ways to coexist. Some predators still hunted, but they followed rules that kept the prey populations healthy. When the hegemony fleet arrived, they expected to find the usual pattern of predators and prey. Instead, They found grass runners and blade wolves fighting side by side to protect the human settlement. "This is impossible," the hegemony commander reported. "Prey species do not fight. They run, not when they are protecting their guardians," came the reply from another battlefield. The humans have changed. The final battle for the galaxy's future began not with weapons or ships, but with a simple message sent across all communication channels. It came from Jake Peterson, standing in the town square of New Haven with predator cubs playing at his feet. "My name is Jake Peterson," he said to the galaxy. "I'm a farmer and a guardian. The hegemony says they want to capture humans like me to use as weapons, but we are not weapons, we are bridges." Behind Jake, the camera showed something that made viewers across the galaxy stop and stare. Human children were playing with predator cubs, prey species were grazing peacefully near apex predators, and representatives from dozens of different worlds were working together to build defenses. "This is what the ancient guardians wanted," Jake continued. "Not conquest, not control, but cooperation. We do not make predators weak. We make them strong enough to protect more than just themselves." Admiral Patricia Cole watched Jake's message. From the bridge of the Earth Defense Fleet flagship, she commanded 300 ships, which seemed like nothing compared to the massive hegemony fleet approaching Earth, but she was not planning to fight the hegemony alone. "Admiral," her communications officer reported, "we are receiving signals from the Predator fleet. They are requesting permission to coordinate with our forces." Patricia had been a soldier for 30 years, and she had never imagined she would be planning battle tactics with creatures that could tear apart her ships with their bare claws. But these were not normal times. "Put me in touch with their fleet commander," she ordered. The screen showed a massive thornback prowler sitting in what looked like a command chair made from scrap metal. The creature's eyes were intelligent, and when it spoke, its voice was translated by computers into words Patricia could understand. "I am Scar Who Leads," the predator said. "My pack protects the guardian Jake Peterson." "Your pack protects the guardian world Earth? We fight together?" It was the first time in galactic history that a predator had spoken directly to a human military commander as an equal. Patricia felt the weight of history as she replied, "Welcome to the fleet, Scar Who Leads. Let us protect our guardians together." The combined fleet was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Sleek human warships flew alongside crude predator vessels. The predators had no understanding of advanced tactics, but they had something more valuable: absolute determination to protect their young and their guardian partners. Chancellor Vex watched the approaching fleet from his flagship, the Dominator. He had spent 30 years conquering other species, and he was not about to be stopped by humans and their pet animals. "They have no coordination," he told his officers. "The predators are just animals flying in metal boxes. Our advanced weapons will destroy them easily." But General Voss, who had faced the predators on New Haven, was not so confident. "Chancellor, these creatures defeated our ground forces when they were fighting individually. Now they are working together." "Animals cannot learn military tactics," Vex replied coldly. "Order all fleets to attack." The Battle of Earth began at dawn on a Tuesday. The hegemony fleet emerged from hyperspace in perfect formation, their weapons charging for a coordinated strike. But before they could fire, something unexpected happened. The Predator fleet did not attack. Instead, they moved to form a protective shell around the human worlds. They were not trying to win a battle, they were trying to protect their guardians. "They are using themselves as shields," Admiral Cole realized. "The Predators are putting their own ships between us and the hegemony." But the Predators had learned more than just sacrifice. They had learned cooperation. As the hegemony fleet began its attack, creatures from dozens of different worlds began to work together in ways that defied everything science knew about their species. The fast-moving Shadowhawk ships carried repair crews to damaged vessels. The heavily armored Rockback ships used their thick hulls to ram hegemony cruisers. The Iceclaw ships used their freezing weapons to disable enemy engines. "This is impossible," General Voss reported to Chancellor Vex. "The Predators are coordinating their attacks. They are sharing resources and covering each other's weaknesses. On the surface of Earth, Dr. Nicole Foster was watching the battle from her laboratory. She had been studying the Guardian genes for months, trying to understand how they worked. Now she was seeing the results on a galactic scale. They are not just fighting for their young anymore, she told her research team. They are fighting for the future of cooperation itself. The turning point came when the hegemony fleet targeted the Predator nursery ships. These were the crewed vessels that carried the young of dozens of species, brought to Earth for protection during the battle. When the first nursery ship was destroyed, something changed in the Predator fleet. The individual species stopped fighting as separate groups. Instead, they began to fight as one unified force. Scarhu leads sent a message to every Predator ship in the fleet. The translation was simple: protect the young, protect the Guardians, protect each other. The Predators began to use tactics that no military academy had ever taught. They used their natural hunting instincts on a space battle scale. The pack hunters coordinated complex attacks. The ambush predators waited for perfect moments to strike. The persistence hunters chased damaged enemy ships until they were destroyed. But the most amazing thing was how they protected each other. Species that had been natural enemies for millions of years began to cover each other's retreat, share ammunition, and coordinate rescues. The Guardian influence is spreading, Dr. Foster reported to Admiral Cole. The Predators are not just working with humans anymore. They are working with each other. The battle turned into a rout when the prey species joined the fight. The grass runners used their speed to carry messages between ships. The tunnel diggers used their ships to create hidden supply lines. The hive builders used their organizational skills to coordinate repairs. Chancellor Vex watched his empire's greatest fleet being defeated by animals that should not have been able to work together. How is this possible? He demanded. The humans, General Voss replied. They have changed everything. They have shown the galaxy that cooperation is stronger than conquest. As the hegemony fleet retreated, Jake Peterson stood in the town square of New Haven, surrounded by creatures from across the galaxy. The Predators had brought their young to safety, but they had also brought something else: hope. The ancient Guardians faced a crisis that threatened all life in the galaxy, he said in a message that was broadcast to every world. They found a way to bring enemies together and save everyone. Now we face the same choice. The galaxy's response was immediate. On world after world, species that had been fighting began to talk. The Guardian influence spread from the humans to the Predators, and from the Predators to every other species they met. The Galactic Council established the Guardian Compact, a new treaty that recognized the ancient bond between humans and Predators. But more importantly, it established principles for cooperation between all species. Dr. Ryan Cooper returned to the ruins on Kepler 442b to study the final chamber. What he found there was a message from the ancient Guardians written in light on the crystal walls. If you're reading this, then the Guardians have returned and the galaxy has survived its greatest crisis. The bond between protector and protected is the strongest force in the universe. Use it wisely. The message faded, but its meaning was clear. The ancient Guardians had not just saved their own time. They had prepared for this moment, when their descendants would face the same choice between conquest and cooperation. Years later, Jake Peterson stood in his farm on New Haven, watching human children play with predator cubs. But now there were other species young playing with them too. The settlement had become a model for the entire galaxy. How did you know it would work? Asked Dr. Lisa Morgan, who had returned to study the long-term effects of the Guardian Compact. Jake smiled as he watched a human girl teaching a young thornback prowler how to plant seeds. I did not know. I just knew that babies need protection, no matter what species they belong to. Everything else just grew from there. The galaxy had learned that the bond between those who protect and those who are protected was indeed the strongest force in the universe. The ancient Guardians had been right. Cooperation was the only way to survive. And sometimes the most important lessons came from the simple act of caring for the young. The predators still hunted, but now they hunted together with other species to protect the colonies that cared for their young. The prey species still fled from danger, but now they fled to guardian settlements where they knew they would be safe. The hegemony still existed, but it was no longer an empire of conquest. It had become a federation of cooperation, led by beings who had learned that strength came not from domination, but from partnership. And somewhere in the galaxy, on worlds that had not yet been discovered, other species were learning the guardian way. The ancient compact had been reborn, and it would spread to every corner of the universe. The galaxy had its guardians back, and the guardians had their protectors. Together they would face whatever challenges came next, because they had learned the most important lesson of all: when different species work together, they can accomplish anything. The bond between humans and predators had started with a